Evicting a tenant can seem like a complicated process, but in this video, we'll quickly explain the eviction laws in Pennsylvania and outline some simple steps that landlords can take to initiate an eviction. We're eForms, the largest online database of fillable legal forms, and in this video, we'll talk about what the eviction process looks like, how Pennsylvania laws affect evictions, and how to legally remove a non-compliant tenant from a property. Be sure to watch to the end of this video to find a link to a fillable eviction notice that you can customize to suit your situation. First, what is an eviction? Eviction is the process of legally removing a tenant. Even if a tenant hasn't paid rent, it's illegal for a landlord to change locks on a property or physically remove a tenant from that property. If the tenant refuses to leave after violating the terms of a lease agreement, a landlord must seek an eviction from the courts. Note that an eviction is different from the simple termination of a lease. A landlord can opt not to renew a lease after the specified term has ended. There is no need to involve a court in this process. If a tenant in Pennsylvania fails to pay rent or breaches the terms of a lease agreement in some other way, the landlord can issue an eviction notice. There are 4 versions of this form for a landlord in Pennsylvania to choose from. One is known as the 10-day notice to quit for the non-payment of rent. This gets used if the tenant fails to pay rent when it is due and gives the tenant 10 days to either pay what is owed or face an eviction lawsuit. There's also a 10-day notice to quit for illegal drugs. Unlike the previous version of the notice to quit, this form doesn't give the tenant the option to remedy the problem within a set number of days. This notice asks the tenant to vacate the unit within 10 days. Per Pennsylvania law, it can only be used if the tenant is convicted of selling, manufacturing, distributing, or using illegal drugs on the premises. Another version of the notice to quit is the 15 30-day notice to quit for non-compliance. This form gets used when the tenant violates the lease in some way that is not related to the payment of rent. If the tenant has been living at the premises for less than a year, then the landlord will issue a 15-day notice to quit, giving the tenant 15 days to either resolve the matter in question or face an eviction proceeding in court. If, on the other hand, the tenant has been renting from the landlord for more than a year, then the landlord will issue a 30-day notice, giving the tenant double the number of days to either fix the problem or be evicted. This notice shouldn't be confused with the 30-day notice to quit for a month-to-month tenancy. This one just gets used to let the tenant know that the landlord won't be renewing the month-to-month lease at the end of the 30 days. A copy of the notice to quit should be hand-delivered to the tenant by the landlord or a non-interested party over the age of 18. If the tenant doesn't respond to the notice by either rectifying the specified problem or moving out, then the landlord can commence an eviction action in court. This will be done in the county or municipality where the rental property is located. In order to commence an eviction action, the landlord will need to file a form known as a complaint with the court clerk. After receiving this form, the clerk will set a date for an eviction hearing. At the hearing, both the landlord and the tenant will have a chance to present their side of the story. If the judge rules in the favor of the landlord can then request a document known as an order of possession. This orders the tenant to move out within 10 days and authorizes an officer of the law to remove the tenant and the tenant's belongings from the property. We've got everything you need to get eviction proceedings going in Pennsylvania, from eviction notices to court documents, and you can access it all at the link below. And don't forget to subscribe to find more videos about topics important for business and property owners.